stream, hopefully you're with us now. Maybe. I'm seeing red, but I don't know what that means. Hopefully our live stream is live.
It says 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think I messed it up when I was putting it online. That's okay, it'll get started here in a minute. So, what we are doing tonight is a game that I don't know if it's gonna work, but if it works, it will be incredible. And if it fails, it'll be like every other failed game that we've had at Move Sid Ministries. So let's do 3 volunteers first. Madison, Saya, and Tyler. Come on up. Madison and Tyler over here. Saya over here. You guys are brave people because you don't even know what we're doing, and I have a carton of eggs up here. You guys, okay, wait, really quick. Look at this cute little 6-egg thing that I bought at Walmart for 34 cents. Isn't that adorable? And one of them, of course, was busted on the inside. So one of these may be a surprise. It's maybe pre-cracked already. The way this game works is I have drawn black circles on the tops and bottoms of these eggs with a Sharpie. I don't know if you can see that live stream. Can you see this? Can you see that little egg thing? What your job is going to do is using a paper clip, you need to poke a hole in the top and the bottom of this egg while not breaking outside of the circle. If you break outside of the circle, you will be disqualified, but you can still place. Does that make sense? So this is a race. You're going to use a paper clip to poke a hole in the top and the bottom, and then you have to blow on the egg to get all the yolk out of the inside of the egg. But your circle has to be smaller than the circle I've drawn in Sharpie. Does that make sense? You're going to be doing this into our little container. When you blow, you're going to be going over the container so you don't get it all over the table and the floor. All right? Please do not drop your eggs on the floor. Otherwise, I will make you clean it up with your mouth. No hands allowed. Okay? Tyler, here's this egg for you. This is your egg. Here's your paper clip. Just wait till I say go because it's a race. Here's your paper clip. Here's your egg. Hold it over the table, please. Don't get started yet. Don't get started. I can see you thinking over here. All right, here are Miss Madison. Here's your egg, or here's your paper clip. Wait. I will let you guys, because Tyler's not following instructions, and he already got his paper clip ready. You can get your paper clip straightened out a little bit, Madison, because Tyler's, I just said don't do anything yet. Don't go yet. And Tyler's over here just like. All right, on your marks. Get set. Please work over the bin. Just that way if it falls in the bin. Get set. Go. Oh yeah, there's some music. Oh, I get the camera in on this. That's what we're here for.
That's not gonna work.
You gotta have 2 holes.
I have 2 holes.
No, already?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Hole there.
All right, Saya, how's it coming? Okay, good. Now the question is your hole big enough to get egg out of it?
Oh, shoot.
Is it big enough to get the yolk out of it? If it's too small, it won't work. Oh, did it work? You got it!
Except my hole is a little.
Oh, your hole's a little too big though. Delicious. All right. So Tyler's first, but he might be disqualified, but I want everyone else to keep going. Madison, let's see it. Give us some good visuals for the camera. Yeah, look at that. It looks like snot. I'm gonna get over here so I'm not out of the way.
I blew mine and the whole thing exploded off.
Hopefully that's a good image. I don't know if that's good.
Did it break?
Sai, are you done? It broke? Keep it over the bin. Keep it over the bin. All right, that's a disqualification. Madison, you can still win this right now. If you can get yours out without breaking it, you win.
I think it's empty. She got it.
Is it out?
I think so.
All right, let's see the circle really quick. I'm gonna go put this back in the center.
Oh, she had it perfect.
She had it perfect? Wow, from the brother. Show me the other side. Wow, that is perfection. All right, so Madison, you can come and pick out from the bag of candy Then I have Reese's Pieces, Bunch of Crunch, and Junior Mints. Reese's Pieces. I approve of your choice. All right, drop your eggs in the bucket. And why don't you take your paper clips and go throw them away for me. Then you guys can get masks on. I have 3 more eggs, and one of them is cracked. It'll be a surprise. If you get the cracked egg, you automatically win a prize. Do I have 3 more? Oh, do I have 3 more volunteers? No, I need new people. Aiden, you want to do it? No. All right, I need volunteers. I got Bunch of Crunch and Junior Mints, guys. Come on. No, come on. All right, I'm just gonna pick people. I picked Andrew. I picked Izzy. I picked. Who next? I picked Jonathan. Come on up, Jonathan. All right, where's my paper clips at?
What did they sign up for?
Oh, Andrew, you just walked in, didn't you?
Yeah, I have no idea.
So, we are using paper clips to poke a hole in an egg and then blow out the yolk. Why don't I have Andrew all the way down there, Jonathan at this one, Izzy at this one, okay? Don't use this paper clip. We're throwing it in the bucket because it's nasty. All right. So, just a reminder, there's holes on the top and bottoms of these eggs. If you crack outside of those holes, you might be disqualified, all right? And you need to obviously blow it into here. So, in a second, when I say go, you guys can get started using your paper clips to poke a hole in the top and bottom and blow out the yolk without damaging your circle, okay? You're gonna do the best you can because you got the broken one. So even if you fail, you'll win because yours is broken. On your marks, get set, go. Am I blocking anyone's view of Izzy? I want you to see the methodology. You gotta blow it out, remember. Cue it over the bin so if it breaks. Oh, you're just working on your paper clips though, I see. Jonathan's focused on his paper clip.
I didn't want to do a timer to start before we even said go.
Izzy's working. Oh, I heard a crack. Oh, Andrew's busted. All right, Andrew. Oh, and you got egg on you.
I'm on the table.
Can you go get some paper towels and wipe that
I
up?
don't want to get on the table.
So I stick this through here.
You can go ahead to the bathroom, bud.
Alright.
And then bring some paper towels back. All right, there's only 2 left. Izzy could technically win 2 pieces of candy. Izzy's still going pretty well.
No, it's breaking a little bit.
It looks pretty good to me, hon. All right, Jonathan's not in a rush, which is probably wise at this point. I just want to see you guys blow the stuff out of the egg. That's what I'm here for.
Can't do side strategy, just stab it.
All right. Oh, Izzy's blowing. Izzy's blowing. Yuck. Yuck. Her hair's short enough that I think she'll be okay. Oh, maybe not. That's close. I don't know if the stream can see this nastiness. Yuck. Jonathan's still working on it. I think Izzy's gonna win. You gotta get all of it out though. Oh yeah, a little bit more. All right, I think that's it. Izzy, you win. Jonathan, do you want to try to finish? Do you want to place? You can't even get it in. All right. All righty. Izzy, I think you get both. I mean, if you wanted to give it to your second place, you could, but that's your prerogative. It belongs to you. All right, Jonathan, you can be done, bud. You can just drop everything in there. We're gonna have Andrew come and clean up. Oh, Izzy has shown you a grace and a mercy. Wow. you get Junior Mints. Do people like Junior Mints? Raise your hand if you like Junior Mints. 3 people like Junior Mints. Okay, a bunch of people I knew in high school were like obsessed with Junior Mints. So when I was at the store picking out options, I thought, people love Junior Mints. I'll get them. Okay, well, it's good to know that I was wrong. That's always a good thing. All right. Could I get Phil? No, you're not Phil. Not Eric? No. Griffin. Griffin! Bring up the offering, please. Thank you, Griffin. My brain made a bunch of hoops there. Well, Phil gave you the name Eric, and my mind went to Eric.
I have a lot of names.
And then I couldn't think of what we've been calling you when you bring offering up, and that's Griffin. So, it is almost time for worship, and during which we are going to spread out into the sanctuary. We are going to keep our masks on. We're going to socially distance, and we are going to worship God. If you have offering, when we spread out, you can bring it up and put it in the bin. Otherwise, you can just enter in to worship Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior. All right? So, I'm going to pray, then we can spread out, and then you can bring offering if you had. All right, you guys, bow your heads, close your eyes. Oh, Father, I thank you that you are present in the chaos and the wildness of our lives. Would tonight be an opportunity for us to thank you? Would tonight be an opportunity for us to be reminded of how good you have been to us? And would tonight be an opportunity for us to just lift you up, Father, to put you back in your rightful place in our lives as King. In your name, amen. All right, guys, you can spread out and bring offering.
What's up, everybody? How are you? Grant, where's your faithful? I was just thinking this week, as I was preparing for worship, just about how many different things there are to chase after in this life. Some of them are good things, like not everything's a bad thing, but I just want to remind you tonight, like Jesus is the only thing worth chasing after. And so in worship, we get the opportunity to chase after him as we sing these songs to him, as we are seeking to connect to him. We have that opportunity to seek him out. And just in the middle, like Justin said, there's a lot of chaos going on. I just want to remind you that these are the times when you get to focus in on who he is, because that is what matters. And so I'm just going to give you a little bit of time just to get your mind into space, let go of distractions, let go of anything that you brought in emotionally, spiritually today with you, and we're just going to enter in.
Your promises to me.
to stand on your word. And sing you'll always be more than enough for me. I know it's true, you'll always be more than enough for me. Just keep singing that. You'll always be more than enough for me. You'll always be more than enough for me. In any circumstance, God, you'll always be more than enough for me. 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 Doesn't matter what I feel,
song, or the words that I sing. This is a sacrifice. I give you everything. It's more than a song, or the words I could sing. This is my sacrifice. I give you everything. With arms held high, Lord, I give my life, knowing I'm found in Christ, in your love forever. With all I am, every part in your grace, I stand. The greatest of all romance, love of God, my Savior.
You know, when I was growing up, they talked about how my generation was the most cynical generation, the most jaded generation, the generation that chose to see everything through a negative light. And I think, I don't know if this is backed up by data, I don't know. I think if there was ever a generation that had reasons to be cynical, it is your generation. Because your generation knows more than my generation did when it was growing up. Your generation gets to see more than my generation did when it was growing up. Your generation gets to hear more viewpoints than my generation ever got to hear growing up. You get to see how people twist the truth however they want, more than my generation ever did when I was growing up. If there was ever a generation that had a good excuse to only focus on the negative, it is your generation. And tonight, I just want us, while we're still in this atmosphere of worship, to rage against cynicism, to choose, instead of falling into a pattern of viewing everything in a negative light, or instead of being overwhelmed by so many choices that I just give up and say, you know what, it's not worth the struggle, I'm not going to pick a side. And tonight we would just choose to view our lives from a positive light, that we would choose to look for the good, that we would look for excuses to be thankful instead of looking for excuses to be miserable. There are so many things in our lives to be bothered about, to be upset about, to be negative about. Would you just close your eyes with me and just for a moment look for the things you have to be grateful for? Thankfulness and gratefulness make worship, they fuel worship. They make it possible. So would we just, in our own ways, just close your eyes with me and just start thinking of the reasons you have. Father, in our hearts, in our minds, in our tongues, would you place a pattern of thankfulness? Would it become our normal way of living? Would it become our normal way of being, Father? When we look around us, we don't see all that we don't have, but instead we see all that we have been gifted by you. Instead of looking down in the mud, in the rain, would we look up to the rainbow? Father, would you just show us all the ways you've been good, all the ways you've provided, all the ways that you've been there? Even when it's hard. In your name, amen. All right, young people, you can just grab a seat where you are. Already? Thank you, Pastor Erica. So, this room is a little more empty than it normally is. If you're watching at home, I think my numbers are going to be a little better this week than they normally are on YouTube because we have like 3 different families that were exposed to COVID this past week. And so they're not with us today. Thank you, if you're watching from home, for suffering through the online live stream because it makes me feel a lot better about it, knowing that the people here aren't at risk, knowing that I'm at risk, knowing that my wife isn't at risk, my unborn child is not at risk. So I just want to thank you guys. Well, if my wife gets COVID, then my unborn child is in a sticky situation. So that's what I'm saying. All right. So let me just find my 1 page of notes. You guys ready for tonight? This is a new world. We are doing things differently. I'm just going to clear all this junk off the stage, all right? There's enough chaos right now. All right. So, I have been trying for about a month, maybe a little less than a month, to write a new sermon series. And I had this really good idea that I wanted to call it Fight Club. Because that sounds interesting, right? Raise your hand if you've heard of a movie called Fight Club. None of you should ever watch it. Grant's laughing right now. None of you should ever watch it. I watched it on TV when I was in high school, and if my parents knew, they would have killed me because it was a terrible movie. All right? But basically the idea is that there's a fight club where like men who have been beaten down by society go to be real men. They learn how to fight. They learn how to stand up for themselves. And it's like this cathartic experience. And so I love the idea of naming a sermon series Fight Club because it just sounds dangerous, right? It just feels like, what are you going to teach us, Pastor Justin, when you talk about Fight Club? You guys get why I'm excited about this? I made a graphic, and if you look on the YouTube channel, it's the thumbnail, and it looks, I mean, it's not amazing, right? It's not the greatest thumbnail you'll ever see, but it's pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of it. So, I wanted to talk about like the way we handle fighting in our relationships, in our friendships, the way we handle arguments. I mean, for some of us, there's going to be points in our lives where we have to decide, am I going to physically fight this person? All right? Hopefully, you have never had to make that decision. Hopefully, you don't ever have to make that decision, but I don't know. Life is going to take all of us down different paths. And there's going to be moments where we have to make decisions about whether or not we're going to argue, whether or not we're going to debate, or maybe even fight. All right? So, I love this idea. I love the idea of talking about this, but I have been struggling for a month to relate this to Jesus. All right? This sermon series, every time I sat down to write about it, it wasn't like a Christian sermon. It was just life advice from Pastor Justin, all right? And that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to provide life advice. I am here to teach you to be better followers of Jesus. And so I haven't done this yet. I've been struggling with it. And yesterday I was literally just praying and writing notes and bouncing ideas off of the people in the office to see what they thought, to see if they had any ideas. And I still just could not find the one thing to get me there. And so I decided instead that I would start us off this series called Fight Club. Instead of talking about fighting, talking about strength. Because you need strength to fight. Like if you know you're weak, you're going to avoid a fight at all costs, right? Like if there's a guy that is 6'6", and he walks in and he's talking trash and he's ripped out of his mind, I know that fighting is not an option with this man because he would kick my butt. All right? For reference, I'm 5'9". I am not ripped. I'm soft. All right? I might look like I have a little bit of muscle, and maybe I do, but there's not much of it. And I have no fighting training. So if there's a big guy that looks like he knows what he's doing in a fight, I'm not going to pick a fight with him, all right? You need strength before you could ever think about fighting. And so tonight, I want to talk about the different ways God has created each and every one of you. I want to talk about the strength and maybe the different strengths that He has given to each of us. And for some of you, maybe it's physical strength. Actually, let me just do a quick scan around the room. I don't think we got any like Mondo people in this room that are like, you were built to fight or to like manual labor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see anyone in this room that's like, you were made to work in a coal mine or like a blacksmith. Like, none of you in here are built for that. So maybe I don't think there's a gift of physical strength in this room. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of you are like hidden and unexpected. Maybe some of you haven't hit puberty yet. I don't know. All right? Aiden, I love your reactions. You are too funny. But there's other strength that God has placed inside of you. And we're going to talk about that strength. For some of you, you don't know what that is. We're going to be doing that tonight. But first, I've asked one of our students, Joseph Kruby, to come up and just talk about something he's learned about himself. All right? So, why don't you guys give it up for Joe Kruby. He's just going to talk about some of the strength, maybe some of the talents that God has given him that he's kind of discovered in his own life. And if you're in here and you're like, man, I would love to do that. I would love to talk about the things that I'm good at. I'm going to try to do this every week while we do this series. So give it up one more time for Joe Kruby.
For the record, Pastor Justin did indeed text me yesterday and asked me to come up here. It was not my idea, obviously. So that's why I'm here. You guys might make a choice, but I still live, but he asked me first. So, but yeah, strengths and weaknesses. My first thought on this was to tie back my ideas of my strengths and weaknesses to back where I used to live in Illinois. Because whenever I look back at Illinois and where we used to live, I tie that idea to like where I grew up, because I was born here in Minnesota, but Illinois was for the most part where that's where I considered my childhood, was where I was raised, because I was like 7 years old, and then up until now, that's where I lived. But yeah, so whenever I think of Illinois, the main thing I think of is my church there, because that's where I was like spending 75% of my life was at that church. I was a church boy. That's just the way I was. And I was kind of thinking yesterday on what I should talk about as far as strengths and weaknesses, and I started thinking about my church. And so basically, the youth group was, it was big. I should start off by saying that. It was just absolutely humongous. Like half of this room is probably filled every week. And I'm saying that because they had basically like bus routes. They'd have different kids from around the entire community come in. And why that's important is because it would make a great like diversity as far as personalities and just different types of people, because you got the community people and then you have the church people. And so I say that to say that you obviously had the church people, and I could think of it as almost like a bunch of social classes. So basically you had the non-famous people, you had the church kids, and then you had like famous kids. And then I have this like special group I like to call the youth pastor kids. These were like probably just about 4 different people, and they would basically follow Pastor Jason everywhere, like at all times. He always had like these people with him at all times to just, they were basically his like, I don't know, his like children or secretaries. Just little secretaries who take them everywhere, talk to them about pretty much anything, have them do pretty much anything, physical labor, like literally so many stories to go with that. But yeah, basically he had like his own little personal secretaries. And I say that to say I was one of those people. I was with them like pretty much all the time, and more than 2 days a week. I'll just say that. Yeah, I was there quite a bit with Pastor Jason, and basically these people were like higher up than any of the other groups. Like the church kids, they were there all the time, but these youth pastor kids, they basically like knew the ins and outs of the church physically and I guess spiritually, I don't know. But so basically I was with them at all times. I knew Pastor Jason like probably more than most of the people at the church, and the reason why I make this like allusion is to say, whenever I think of that idea of my social status at that church, I tie that to my strengths and weaknesses. I'm really good with like big picture stuff. So from that standpoint of being at that church, I understood a lot of the big picture things because I was with Pastor Jason at all times. I wasn't hanging out with the kids that didn't talk to other kids, like the kids that just sat in the corner in the back of the room. They didn't have anybody to talk to. I wasn't usually with those kids, unfortunately, and I tie that allusion to my actual life. Like, I usually am looking at things from a big picture. I don't see like the ins and outs of things like on a really specific technical level. So like being on this like pedestal at church obviously was pretty fun. Like everybody knew you, and everybody knew you because you're with the pastor. You being a church boy, you're pretty famous. I guess it's pretty fun. Like you get involved with most of the things, most of the activities, but really, it's almost like you're being, I don't know, like babied through the entire process because you're like not even naturally, you didn't make your way up to that point. Like you're just famous because you're famous. Like, and people know you because you're just with Pastor Jason all the time. He's always like talking about you. But yeah, I didn't make my way up there. It just kind of happened because I hung out with those church kids, and it got me up there. So I tie that to my personal, actual life. I don't know a lot about like specific things. I just know I have a lot of general knowledge, is what I like to call it. I don't have a lot of like knowledge on one specific thing, and so I consider that a weakness because, I mean, and I could say that for school too. I like the idea of going through school and graduating, and that's like a big picture thing. I want to graduate, but when it comes to the individual classes, I don't really have a favorite class. Like, I hate the idea of learning something that I'm not even going to incorporate into my future life. And so I'm not exactly an A student. I'm like barely an AB student. And that's, I think it's because of that same idea of being a big picture person, and I see things as a big picture and not as like a, I don't know, tunnel vision. I don't focus on specific things, and yeah, I'd say those are my strengths and weaknesses.
Dude, that was awesome. I did not coach Joseph at all on that. Like, I literally just sent a text, said, hey, no big deal. I'd just like you to share a little bit about what you think some of your strengths are. And that was amazing. As a big picture person myself, like, I don't micromanage, right? Like, I don't get in people's faces and say like, hey, I would love it if you just got up and you told me a story about Illinois and you talked about your time in your youth ministry. Like, I don't do that. Like, that's not how I am, because I am also a big picture person. So, man, awesome, Joseph. Thank you so much. So, what we're going to do tonight is I want you guys to be able to start discovering some of your strengths and weaknesses as well. I want this to be something that you can participate in, because as we're talking about, fighting is not an option for a person that doesn't know what their strength is. Okay? If you know you're not strong physically, you're not going to get into a physical fight. But maybe you know that you're a big picture person. And so when you think about the job that you want someday, you're going to look for something that works well for a big picture person and not a detail person. Maybe you're a detail person. Maybe you're like my wife and you have an administrative mind, which means you're good with dates. And you get everything done on time. And you're good with homework. You're good with remembering things. You're organized. And detail work is fun for you. Maybe that's the type of person you are, and that is your strength. So as you go through life, God uses those strengths and he supplements your weaknesses with the people around you. So I want you guys to be able to do that. So I have a bunch of tests that are personality tests for you guys, all right? So, and you can wait if you have questions. We'll talk later, all right? Please don't interrupt. So, some of you have done this. This is called the Enneagram test. It's a short version. It's 2 pages. I know some of you older kids that have taken, raise your hand if you have taken the Enneagram before and you know what it is. Some of you have. We talked about it with some of the Kruby kids and some of the kids at McDonald's. All right, raise your hand if you have never taken the Enneagram before, just so I know. All right, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good, there's plenty in here that have not taken the Enneagram. So basically, this divides people up into 9 different personalities, and it tells you what is unique about your personality. And this is like, this version today is not complicated, but there might be some big words. So, if you are in middle school, I'm going to have you come over here with me. We're going to socially distance, leave our masks on, and I'm going to help you answer these. I wanted to do small groups tonight, but I don't know if we're going to have time. So we might just be doing this and then be doing some small group discussion next week about strengths and personalities. We might do a strengths 1.5 sermon next week. All right, guys? So if you are on this side of the sanctuary, would you come up and grab a test? And then if we could get the house lights on so students can go and do the test in their seats. You guys can come on up and grab one of these tests if you're over there. If you're on this side, like this side way over here, this section. If you are in this section, you can come up, grab a test. And if you've done this before and you're like, Pastor Justin, you are wasting my time, I would love it if you came and helped a middle schooler. All right? That would make my life amazing. If you wanted to help some of our 6th graders, and then everyone else, you can come up and grab them from right here, because there might be some big words. There are pens in your desks. Or what am I saying? Wow. Seriously, oh my goodness. There are pens in your seats. The way this test works is pretty straightforward. It asks you, each question has 2 options, and you just put your check mark in the box. No matter where that box is, you just check the box, and then I'll tell you guys how to add them up at the end of service. If you're watching online, I have this PDF in the description. All you need is a piece of paper, or you can print it, but you can make your own answer sheet if you just get a piece of paper, number it, and write down the letter. That box is underneath the column. So there's a box, you write down whatever letter, that box is underneath for that number, and then we can tally it up at the end, all right? So if you are in junior high, or let's say if you are in 6th grade, and you are not sure you're going to know all these words, come on over here. We'll socially distance. I just want to make sure I go through it with you guys so I can answer your questions. All right? So you can meet me over here. I'm going to get my mask on. And sound booth, you can participate too if I could get some music playing. And then if I could get my sound booth people to do this as well, that would be awesome. I don't know, whatever. Nothing too loud. Okay, Aiden, why don't you come over here? So we're spread out. Alright, first question. I have been romantic and imaginative, or I've been pragmatic and down to earth. Down to earth. Realistic. Is your head in the clouds, or are you down to earth and doing everything seriously? Put your X in the box, whichever one. Pay attention.
This Jesus, how precious, mender of a million shattered
Which
parts.
one? Are you down to earth, or are you in the clouds?
This Jesus,
So just to be clear, when you answer, you want to put it in the square. So there's a square for every line. Put it in whatever square it is for that line. That's how you're keeping track of your score, okay? Whatever square is in that line for the question. Get a rise to get you all worked up. To get you upset.
I'm very eager.
If you need help, find someone older than you who can explain things. Or you can come over here with us and I'll help you. Alright, so, question, I'm just going to read question by question, okay? 7. I'm more street smart or high-minded. So high-minded is someone who's really book smart. A person who's street smart knows people and knows how to get people. So are you more book smart or people? So, do you feel like you're more intelligent and you can give good feedback? Or do you feel like you're just the person who goes through something to give? I would say for you, Jonathan, from my more insightful than you. 12. I come across as being too unsure of myself, or I come across as being too sure of myself. So are you unsure of yourself, or are you overconfident? What? Right. I've been more, this is 13, I've been more relationship oriented than goal oriented, or I've been more goal oriented than relationship oriented. Number 14, I have not been able to speak up for myself very well. So this is 14, when you have a problem, do you have a hard time speaking up for yourself? Wait, 1 second, let me reread that. Yes, do you have a hard time speaking up for yourself, or you're outspoken, you say what others wish they say, you have the nerve to say. Do you have a hard time speaking up, or do you speak up very easily? Sometimes you think of all so many choices that makes you freeze and you don't make a decision. Or it's difficult for me to take it easy and do work like that. So maybe you think of so many ideas that you don't know what to do, it's almost like ADHD. Or you're super rigid and you don't do it. 16. I tend to be hesitant and procrastinate, or I tend to be bold and dominate. Or my eagerness to have people depend on me has got me. So you get too involved, or you want people to depend on you. You want to get to a point that you put yourself to get into people's business and get you in trouble, or you want people to get to your business. And I would put that out of the top. Usually I just put my feelings aside to get the job done, or I need to work through my feelings before I can make a decision. So, is it easy for you to put your feelings aside, or is it hard for you to do? Alright, we're going to pause here for you guys, and then you can add up A, B, C, D, E, F, and I. Okay? All right, here's what I would like you to start working on now. Try to finish the first page. So there's 18 questions on the first page, and then I want you to pause. If you're already on the second page, that's great. You can pause there. I want you to add up the first page by column. So you look at your A column, and you count the number of squares you have marked in the A column, and you can write it on the bottom of your sheet. And you do the same for all the other letters. Okay, it should take you a minute or so, not too long. And then if you haven't finished, I want you to finish when you go home. I'm going to give you a minute or so to do that, and then I'm going to give you some more instructions. If you have already taken the test, which is most of my senior hires, here's what I want you to do right now. If you've taken the test and you know, I want you to pull your type up right now. And I want you to remind yourself of what your strengths are. Okay? So if you've taken Enneagram before and you know your number, I want you to pull it up right now and remind yourself of your strengths. So, hopefully you guys have been able to add up your columns a little bit and you have some numbers down at the bottom of your first page. If you go to the second to last page, it tells you what those letters apply for each number. So column A is number personality type number 9. Column B is personality type number 6. So there's a little cheat sheet on the second to last page that kind of explains it. I want you to figure out which personality type number is your highest and which one is your second highest. If you haven't finished, that's okay. You can finish this at home, but I want you to figure out what it is right now. Then you have, if you have a tie, I want you to pick whatever ones are tied, that's your first and that's your second, okay? It doesn't matter which one's first or which one's second when you're tied. You can finish it at home, but then once you know which one's first, which one's second, then you can finish this at home, okay, Si? Once you know which one's first and which one's second, I want you to go to the last page and just look over this 9 personality types. Okay? It talks about each of the personality types and what their strengths are. We have the reformer, which is a person who likes to help. They're conscientious, they like to do the right thing all the time. We have the helper, they're caring, interpersonal. Pastor Erica is a number 2. She loves people and she doesn't fake it at all. All right? Sometimes when I love people, I fake it. Did you know that? Erica never does because she's number 2. Number 3 is the achiever. They're success-oriented. They're self-assured, charming, ambitious, high energy. They go out and they make things happen. If you're a number 3, that's an awesome thing. It's probably going to mean you're going to be successful in the world. Number 4 is an individualist. They're sensitive, introspective. They're special people because they don't go with the crowd. They go when they make their own decisions. They do their own thing. They're not conformists. Number 5 is the investigator. I thought I was a number 5 when I first did this because I wanted to be the smart one. Investigators are intense, super smart. They're alert, insightful, and curious. I'm going to go on. 6 is loyalist. This is the woman I married. My wife's a 6. She's committed. She's secure. She's responsible, reliable. She's administrative, which means she's really good at details. My wife is amazing. Number 6s are awesome. 7 is the enthusiast. These people are the life of the party. All right? They're busy, variety-seeking. They're extroverted, optimistic, virtual, spontaneous. They love being around people and they're the life of the party. Now, this is who I am. I'm a number 8. Number 8 is the challenger. And if you look at personalities in movies that are number 8s, it's always the villain. The villain is always my personality type, so that just makes me feel really good about myself. 8s are the powerful, dominating type. They're self-confident, they're strong, they're straight-talking, decisive. There you go. Number 9 are the peacemakers. Peacemakers are easygoing, they're self-effacing, they're stable, trusting, they're creative, optimistic, and supportive. All right? And so we're just going to pause. So if you've got your Enneagram stuff in front of you and you're still working on it, can you just put it down? If you're in the back and you've been chit-chatting, could you guys just grab a seat? Voices up here. We're not going to do anything super spiritual to close the service out, but I want to emphasize the importance of what we're doing today because it feels kind of different, it feels kind of wild, and maybe you're like, I don't know if I want to finish this when I go home. Okay, the reason we're doing this is because God made you unique. Okay? He gave you strengths that He didn't give to me. He gave you strengths that He didn't give to Pastor Erica. He gave you strengths that He did not give to other people in this room. They are unique to you. And it's important for you to understand these strengths as you go on into your life because if you know how God is going to use you, you can make good decisions to make it easier for God to use you. Does that make sense? And so if you know what your gifts are and what your strengths are, it's going to make your life easier in the long run. And so this is why we're doing this. This is important. So I would like you, if you're watching online, to do this so that you know what your strengths are. And if you are here, I would love for you to take this home and finish it. We've got about 15 minutes till we need to lock up the church and send everybody home. All right? So if you want to stay for 10, 12 minutes and work on this, you can. Otherwise, you are dismissed. Some of your parents might be out there to pick you up. We're not going to keep you any longer than we have to, all right? But I just want to encourage you again, work on this. Figure out what your strengths are and what the gifts God has given you, because we're going to keep building on this the rest of the month, all right? You guys are good to go. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, did you want to talk about something? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. on stage with cameras. So let's plan for like 5:30. Awesome. I'm excited.